excited to chat today about lucid dreams and stuff. Did you check out that link that I sent you?
Yeah, just before, and I've done a number of those things. I've flown to the moon. I've just done flying in general. That's really fun. I highly recommend it for beginners. Just however your subconscious or unconscious wants to fly, just do it because you cannot do it when you're awake, but the laws of gravity do not apply.
Yeah,
The only
flying.
limit is your imagination, literally.
Yeah. It's cool how like a lot of people fly in different ways. Like some people use like Superman powers, some people use wings or a jetpack.
Yeah, I don't use anything. I just spread out my arms like this and I just sort of levitate and then I keep going. What I've
You do.
done is, I've left Earth's gravity, and then I've just seen all the stars and planets go past me really fast. So it's I don't know if that's on the list per se, but something about traveling at light speed could be, something along those lines because that's how it feels. Like, I
Yeah.
go past the moon, I go past Mars, I go past a lot the whole solar system.
Yeah, I'm gonna share my screen. But yeah, so I made this list like a couple years ago with just some lucid dreamer friends, community online. We're always adding to it. Like if anybody has things they want to add to it or any ideas that's not on there, let me know or send me an email or whatever. But I went organizing it over the years and now it's in 9 categories. So it's like superpowers, mind, body, soul, spiritual, dream characters, creation, dreamscape, feel good stuff, questions and commands, and then like a legendary random list of things people have done. Yeah, so it's basically like the ultimate list of things to do in a lucid dream.
One idea I had, that I've been wanting to do for a while is meet, like, historical figures that you can't possibly meet in real life because they've been dead for a long time. Like, I often have dreams about Carl Sagan, the astronomer, and his family, and sometimes it becomes a lucid dream when he's a dream character and I remember that he's dead. And I'm like, "You're not supposed to be alive anymore, so this must be a dream." 'Cause I know because of
Yeah.
his spirituality did not allow for, or lack thereof, his spirituality was with science. He didn't believe in an afterlife, so that's just not. And I actually heard his daughter say on an interview that she has dreams of her dad, and then she realizes, "Oh, but you're not alive anymore," because she was
Yeah,
only 14 when he passed.
oh, yeah. It's a really good way to become lucid is by, noticing things like that. And I wonder, like, do you think when we dream of people, historical figures or even loved ones that have passed, how much of it do you think is our projections and makeup
Depends on
of them
Yeah,
or
depends on sorry, I interrupted.
no, you're
Um
fine.
Depends on how well you knew the person, like, with I know Robert Wagner has talked about when he met, like, his father after he passed, he had a way to verify if it was just a projection or if it was his, spirit, so he asked the dream character of his dad to tell him something that he could verify when he woke up, and then also he said that his father appeared younger in the dream, like, more lively than he did when he died.
I love seeing how dreams are portrayed in like movies and TV shows and even cartoons nowadays. I see them mentioning things about dreams and adventures and stuff.
Yeah, and I think part of that was inspired by that movie Inception. It got a bunch of people to realize that lucid dreaming is a thing. There was this guy, Elliot Gish, and he said he got into lucid dreaming. I got into it a little before that, but I found out about it on a fan fiction forum in about 20 years ago, actually, when I was in high school. Someone mentioned it, and I realized that I had one of those. It's something I could relate to.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that it kind of opened up this dialogue become mainstream. And now the next level of it is getting into all the details of lucid dreams, of all the possibilities, of all the things you can use it for, and like convincing people that like this is something that they're capable of doing. Was it hard for you to learn how to lucid dream?
Once I got the hang of it and stopped waking up from excitement, it was, the superpowers was a little harder because I didn't believe in myself, but once I became it wasn't too difficult to become lucid because I really, as Charlie Morley says, it's you ha y I had a reason to become lucid. I wanted to help deal with my own nightmares that I was having, and I didn't wanna talk to anybody about them, so I sort of that was my motivation at the time.
So do you ever do things in your dreams like talking to dream characters or maybe trying to like kind of explore the dream scene?
Yeah, I often explore the background and just sometimes I don't even have a goal because 'cause I've forgotten my dream plan, but I do let the dream continue and see what my unconscious wants me to see. without even asking. It's just like, where is this going? Now that I know that's a dream, what I don't try to change it. I just try to like and I think that's a good approach for life. It's just some things we can't change and we just have to let it go on as it is.
Yeah, honestly, you're so right. It is a good metaphor, and um, sometimes I just, do that as well. When you do try to do your dream plan, what kind of things do you usually plan to do in the dream, if you can remember to?
One of the dream plans I was successful with few months ago was there is this email thread we're having that some of us from the Dream Portal have with Dave Green, the artist, and he was trying to. Our dream plan was to find this father of surrealism and André Breton and find the next line of the poem that he's having us compose in our dreams. You can put in the show notes the like interview with him. I think that's public on Ryan's portal. I'm not sure if it's public.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, I'm in that thread too. How did I'll tell you mine after, but because I also got a line of the poem, like
I didn't get a line of the poem. I found Andre and I explained to him we want the next line of this poem we're composing with your help. And he was interested in the iPad I was carrying. He was looking up himself on YouTube and he was trying to find all these like poetry recitations because he was interested in the modern technology that wasn't around when he was around.
that's so funny, but that's still such a key part of the story because it's so cool. Like, for context, for the listeners, we had this like dream plan of trying to find Andre Breton, who, has transitioned from the earth since, but he's, this just really cool figure in the surrealism world. And, we're writing this poem together with him. And in the dream, he'll like give us lucid dreamers a line of the poem. So it's still so cool that like it shows through even your dream, like his personality and just like funny little quirky challenges of putting together this dream poem.
Yeah, and it's like I didn't know who he was before the Dave Green got us all involved in this stuff. He was the one who introduced me to Andre as a figure. So now that he's a possible dream figure, I do think that is partial. Even though I didn't know him in real life, obviously we wouldn't have possibly interacted. But I do think that he was the kind of character that can show part of his personality through lucid dreams.
Yeah, definitely. The poem is really cool, actually. Should we read it? What we have so far? Do you think that's allowed?
It's allowed, but it might take up a lot of time. Maybe put a link to it in like a copy of it in the show notes.
That's true, that's true. I'll put a copy of it in the show notes. The cool thing about it is how, like, even though we independently each got a different line from our own dreams, they kind of have, like, a cool poetic cadence to it, and they connect. Um, I'm trying to remember which one. Oh, yeah, mine was, "And then there were, they can figure out the
I
rest."
remember that line. Yes.
Because in my dream, I got lucid. I was like, I remember, like, oh, we have this task of finding him. So I went and like summoned him around the corner, and he was there, like with these glasses, like just how I would imagine. And I was like, the poem, what's the next line? And he's like, and then there were, and I was like, there were what? Like, I'm waiting for the next line, and he's like, they can figure out the rest. I'm like,
Yeah, it's
okay,
like I'll go show up in somebody else's dream and tell them the rest of the poem. It's like
exactly.
it's like when you're a kid and you're playing that game telephone and it goes through the message gets distorted.
Exactly, and it's really cool because the next dreamer's line was, "The poem is the center, it is the mirror," which I think is kinda deep if you think about it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And speaking of mirrors, in the ultimate list, you have look at yourself in a mirror, and I've done that to get lucid. I've noticed the image is distorted. It doesn't look like me. I have like too many fingers, or my head is too small, or something like that. And I'm like, wait, this or the image is like constantly changing. It's not consistent, or it doesn't. When I do an action, it doesn't match in the mirror. I'm like, wait, this is a dream, right? And I'm like, yeah, it's got to be.
Yeah, I do that too. For me, sometimes it'll be like I can change my face up like Picasso, or sometimes I'll be completely different character, like,
Yeah,
one
I
time.
might have like reptile skin or something.
Yeah, exactly, you never know. A lot of people say online, like, "Don't do that, it's bad to look in the mirror," spreading fear. I don't like when people spread.
No, no, no. It's like people say that sleep paralysis has to be scary. No, it doesn't. I gave my Ryan Hurd's book on sleep paralysis, the audiobook, to my sister for her birthday last year because she used to struggle a lot with sleep paralysis. And then I know the book says it can lead to an out of body experience, and that's not that's something I've been interested in, but I haven't had success with.
Yeah, honestly, that's true. There's a really big overlap there, and I've gone from sleep paralysis into a lucid dream. Like I've gone through the sleep paralysis process, watched my body fall asleep, and then ended up into just like a dream.
Yeah,
And
the
I'm
WILD.
exactly, yeah. And there's obviously just like some confusing things about the wording because some people will say, "Oh, that's an out of body. Oh, that's a lucid dream." I try not to
And then
label.
some people think like, well, it's the same thing. I've heard people say different things, so it's like it's whatever you want to call it. I have heard from Robert Wagner in an email a couple years back that some people, people in both the lucid dreaming and out of body community, they seem to have a mental like easier time with one or the other. It's rare for them to have a preference for both. And I'm like, I definitely lean towards lucid dreaming. I find that a lot easier. I've not had success with the OBEs because I've tried to initiate them and then I end up falling asleep.
Yeah, same. I'm more of a lucid dreamer and I have had OBEs, not through dreaming though. So it's different for me and I have a differentiation, but there's no scientific consensus and that's okay. It has to be maybe a subjective thing. So I think we're like entering this paradigm shift of like needing to label something into strict categories.
Yeah, no, lucid dreaming has been a thing for thousands of years, but the scientific community didn't believe it until like the late 70s, early 80s. That doesn't mean people didn't have them.
Exactly. Yep, people have been having them for centuries since ancient Egypt, it's been a
Exactly.
tool
They had
appreciate.
OBEs then too. They talked about the different bodies of like the soul body and I can't remember their terms, but it was like the physical body versus the soul body.
Yeah, it's really cool. I think in ancient civilizations like that, they used to value more like the magical, the spiritual, the
Definitely.
non-Western. Yeah, exactly. So, we're kind of adapting as the Western world to balance science and spirituality, which, as you know, is like a huge part of what I try to do overall.
Yeah, yeah, and I think and Jade Shaw, who is, Charlie Morley's, former spouse and but they're still, like, in touch, they're still friends. They're still really good friends, so Jade, she talks about that in her newsletters. She says astral projection instead of OBEs, but from my understanding, it's another label there, um, but she talks about how, different cultures, have different judgmental views on what is like scientific versus what is spiritual and can they be mixed because indigenous cultures definitely value the spiritual a lot more.
Yeah, definitely, and I think we're starting to as well as a society. But we'll see where it goes. I think lucid dreaming is something that wakens up a lot of people to, you know, these other possibilities. Do you ever like try like commanding the dreamscape itself or like talking to the dream as a whole?
I do remember in my dream journal from a few years back, I had a dream plan and I asked for all thought forms to disappear, and they did. And there was one dream character left, and his name was Bob, and he was like an older, like sagely man. And he reminded me of someone's grandfather. And I remember us in a hotel, and I was trying to get some information from him. I don't remember the information because it got lost by the time I was recording the dream. But this was back in I think 2021, so a few years ago.
Yeah, that's cool. I like doing different things like that too. What about like, do you think that there's some connection between things we do in the dream world and then things showing up in like our waking life?
Yeah, I've looked more into the precognitive dreams, and while I don't have the bigger ones that's I think some people experience a lot, but I do notice that when I dream about something, it shows up in some small form the next day. So there's precognitive aspects that you have to look for if you're not like versed in that, which most of Western society just isn't, or they dismiss it, or they say it's impossible. I have a friend who's like he prides himself on his skepticism, and so I've talked to him about lucid dreaming because he knows that's scientifically validated. I haven't talked to him about OBEs because he just like shake his head at that and think it was silly, and I frankly think that's his loss.
Yeah, well, people have their belief systems that they're ingrained in, and it takes a while for them to be set free. But once they have the experience themselves, the personal subjective is the ultimate shatter of all those limiting beliefs.
Yeah, like, back in, like, the '60s, people would say lucid dreaming is impossible, like, if they were of that mindset, and back if I had been around back then, I'd probably say something like, "Have you ever tried to have one to prove to yourself whether it's real or not?"
Exactly. I'm shocked that there's still people that think that it doesn't exist or that it's not real. People still think that even though we know it is, it's been
Yeah,
proven.
the evidence has been around for over 45 years almost. I think they did the first experiment the with Keith Hearn and Alan Worsley in the UK about 50 years ago in April 1975. I'm good at remembering dates and then I know Robert Wagner mentions that cuz he said he had his first and early lucid dream of his when he was a teenager then.
That's super cool. I think there's so much endless possibilities. How often do you get lucid? Like, do you have a practice or just kind of spontaneous?
When I practice more, it happens more, but it's inconsistent a few times a month, I would say.
That's still
Um,
pretty good. I mean, that's more than most people.
exactly, like, most people, if they don't practice, it's, like, maybe, once a year at most. I haven't tried to I know some people, the ones I consider the experts, I'm putting that in quotes because like, we can all become experts. Um, the ones some people have had, like, multiple ones a night. I've never gotten to that point. I can remember, 2 or 3 dreams a night, but I haven't had multiple lucid dreams. If I have, they've been very short, not worth recording.
Yeah, I've had multiple. Sometimes there'll be like a long dream that strings into other dreams, or I've woken up, gone back to sleep, lost lucidity, gained lucidity again. Like it's cool how it's flexible within the dream. I love how it's lucid dreaming. There's so many techniques because you find what works for your lifestyle and like your sleep schedule. You know, everybody's different. So it's really about finding what works for you.
Exactly, there's so many ways to do it, and you don't have to, like there's not like a, "This method is best, this method is not so good." It's like it depends on your person.
Yeah. Are you going to be in Ashland by any chance for the next conference?
I hope so, I know that there's a Northeastern ISD conference but it's at the same time I'm in London. That's in, like, Boston or
Okay.
something. Um,
Yeah, they do have regionals.
I hope to be in Ashland because this is the first ISD conference I was fully at. I tried to go since 2021, it just never worked out because of work. Um,
Yeah.
but this is the first year I was able to do it fully, and I feel like I didn't get the full experience just because it was fully online. It was great, but it's like I wanted more. And there's
Yeah,
some
the
stuff you can
in-person
only get
is
from in
amazing.
person.
Yeah, 100%. Well, the one after that in 2027 is gonna be in Atlanta. I don't know if you're on the East Coast, but that one's closer
I
to me.
am.
So maybe I'll see you around at one of those, but if not, like, definitely online, like, we'll stay in touch and stuff.
Sure.
Uh, what else do you have going on? Like, are you a part of any other dream groups or communities online?
Um, well, I mentioned Charlie Morley's training, which I do recommend if you can. It is aimed at therapists, so if you're in the kind of therapist healing type field and you want to teach lucid dreaming to your clients, that is, I highly recommend that. The next one of those, I assume, will be in 2027 when they have the many worlds of lucid dreaming. Every couple of years, I've been to every single one of those. I highly recommend that. Currently, I'm at Ryan Hurd's Dream Portal.
It's super fun always to talk to, lucid dreamers that have done all these adventures in the dreamscape.
One more thing, and you mentioned on the list, you mentioned, like, mixing your senses, and there's I think the term for that is synesthesia, and it's linked to creativity, if you experience that in the waking life. That's
Oh,
another.
yeah, for sure. That one's interesting too. I haven't tried that one in a dream. I'm gonna try it out.
Yeah, me neither. I'd really like to do that because it's like I wanna get the experience that some people might have when they're awake, and I'm like, "Oh, color music? It just sounds." I mean, you'd think it was like someone was on drugs or something, but that's normal for some people.
Yeah. Is there anything else on the list that you haven't tried or that you wanna try if you
I
get lucid?
really like the idea of playing chess in a lucid dream. I think my dad will appeal to that because he's the one who taught me when I was a kid, and I'll mention that to him and as one of his as a dream plan he could make. But, like, if you have play chess with a dream character, you have to, like, remember all the logic of the game and see if it's and, like, I'm just imagining playing with, like, your inner child, and they want to, like, throw the pieces when they lose.
Yeah, that's funny, but I imagine, like, if you can remember the layout of the board and the rules, you can actually get better at the strategy of the game by
For
practicing.
sure, yeah, just like you can practice other skills.
Exactly. That's awesome. Yeah, those are some that I definitely haven't done yet either. Um, my current dream plan right now is just to kind of explore the dream and to like, make my body healthier, like eat healthier,
Yeah, I
work.
definitely wanna work I do have a, ongoing dream plan to work on healing. I'd like to be able to, work on my weight loss and other, like, health conditions that I have going on.
Anything else on the list that you're looking forward to doing or not on the list that we haven't added to it yet?
I like the idea of meeting fictional characters. I become lucid when I realize the graphics are look like a Pokemon game and not like real life.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think lucid dreaming is kind of like a game sometimes, it feels like that,
Yeah,
like,
it's like
unlock
virtual
those levels.
reality, and,
Yeah,
like, there's studies that have shown gamers of at least of certain genres of games tend to have more lucid dreams. It might not be the kind of
yeah,
games I play, but it's certain genres and it's really good for, like, teenagers who game and they wanna use their lucid dreams for, like, fantasy. As Charlie Morley says, his early ones were about skateboarding and sex because he was a teenage boy, and that was fantasies.
fair. Yeah, it's funny, everyone can use it for whatever they use it for, but I've played some video games too, and I noticed that, like, I'll dream about the game mechanics and, like, how it works, and I think all sort of games that you have this avatar and you're making choices on behalf of the avatar, like,
Yeah.
those types of that is kind of like the thought process of lucid dreaming, like, you're in this world and you're making choices, so, like, strengthening that skill set, I think, is what transfers over into having more lucid dreams.
Yeah, I would agree with that. When you mentioned speak other languages, what you could do is if you're learning a language, you could practice in the lucid dream.
Yep, can confirm I have done that, and I actually wake up better, like, my accent better, I feel like I know more words even.
Yeah, I can imagine that. I like the texting the lucid dreamers off other lucid dreamers. Sometimes I've had this happen to me. It's either I don't have my phone or like can't access technology, it keeps failing. So like it's not that cuz like I use my phone all the time in real life, but in a lucid dream it's just not there. Even in regular dreams I don't notice it's not there.
Yeah, it's 50-50 for me. This is a big online debate too, because sometimes I'll have my phone, but it'll be glitchy. Most of the time it's glitchy, it doesn't work. I'm getting frustrated. I try to use that as a cue, like, oh, this is a dream. Sometimes it works, sometimes not. But other times I'll have my phone and it'll be working normally. So it really just depends.
Yeah, and, like, sometimes I can read perfectly well, and sometimes the words, like, change as if I'm, like, dyslexic or something. I am definitely not dyslexic in real life because I read really quickly and I absorb information quickly, so but there's a reason for that. I think studies have shown that you can use that as a reality test because, the part of the brain that's more offline and dreaming is the part that has to do with processing words. But if someone's dyslexic and they try to use that as a reality test, they're probably like, "Oh, it must just be my dyslexia, I'm not dreaming."
Exactly. That's why it's a really find your own practice kind of thing because reality checks, a lot of people don't like them or don't use them at all.
Yeah, what I do, I also wrote an article for the, lucid dreaming experience earlier in 2021 about reality tests. Sometimes they're called state tests. There's different names, but the one I like to use is look at a digital clock and see if it turns into like the numbers either get glitchy or they turn into a time that you can't be read on a digital clock. Like it'll say like 30:34, and I'll be like, there's no 30 hour.
Yeah, exactly. I do that too. Use the time and like small text. It really takes a mindfulness of like looking at it mindfully and not just like glancing at it. You have to really see your
Yeah,
environment.
I put that in the article. It's like how to do reality tests at the best way. Not necessarily the best way, but it's like don't just do it haphazardly because if you just do like not dreaming, not dreaming. And then that's what you'll do in the dream, you'll assume you're not dreaming.
Exactly. I rather assume that I am dreaming. I that's one
Yeah.
thing I just did for a while. Always assume that I'm dreaming.
Yeah, but, I'm and then I remember we talked about this in, again, Charlie Morley's training because it's like, what if you have a client who's, like, at risk of psychosis? Maybe don't teach them the reality test because that could increase their risk. Maybe teach them the other techniques about getting lucid.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want someone to go jump off a window trying to see if they're in a dream.
Yeah, because it's like, no, you're gonna hurt yourself. You should do that if you know you're in a dream, but if you're not sure, don't do that.
Exactly. Even in a dream, sometimes I have this doubt where I'm not fully lucid, so I'm like, let me not do this just in case I'm not
Yeah,
dreaming.
I have to do 2 reality tests in a row because, sometimes I'm not sure with the first one. It's like, "Oh, okay, maybe this is just a glitchy screen and I'm not and it's the text and it's the technology, not the fact that I'm dreaming."
Exactly. I usually do 2 reality checks as well. That's a good tip. And I like reality checks, but yeah, like you got to do what works for you. Some people have a really hard time distinguishing dream and reality. Lucid dreaming has a lot of healing benefits, but like everything, it's a tool that may or may not be used for some people. It's a skill,
Right.
it's a personal skill.
I had a childhood friend who I was really close to, and unfortunately, she passed away last year because of chronic illness. She was only in like her mid 30s, like she was 4 days older than me. And so I'd like to use the lucid dream to help heal the grief that I had from her dying young.
Yeah, that is hard. I'm sorry for your loss. And I know that, it's not on all fixed problems, but dreams can offer us closure and healing connection to the loved ones. So, yeah, I guess
Yeah,
that's a good, like, yeah. Do you have any closing advice for like people that are hurting and looking to their dreams for answers?
it's a good idea to have a dream plan if you want to meet like a deceased loved one and like just maybe see them one last time or multiple last times if you didn't get a chance to like say goodbye like I didn't with my friend, because her death was sudden. But that that is again on my list of dream plans is to like see her again and say, I'm sorry I couldn't see you again before you passed, and I hope you're feeling better now.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, but I definitely do know that she is feeling better now and she already knows your heart. But I think when we invite our loved ones to the dream space, they are always excited to come, that they're our support team now. So,
Yeah, yeah, they're watching you from the other side.
but hey, hopefully I wish you continue to encourage people to talk about dreams, whether it's your neighbor or your coworkers or whoever you stumble across the street. Don't be shy to be like, hey, oh, I had this crazy dream. See what they
Yeah,
say.
exactly.
All right. Well, thanks for chatting. Let's definitely stay in touch per usual. And I really loved how this structure of this turned out. So I'll let you know once it's out, and I'll post your article links too.
Thank you. I love talking to you. It's been great.